As part of the Redwoods Listening Post and with help from local nonprofits, Access Humboldt, and Internews, this is a new locally focused news magazine radio program for our local community radio station, KZZH 96.7 FM.
The intent is to showcase local issues through a collection of articles, opinions, and stories created by local community citizens, journalists, and media partners. We hope to create a radio program that will highlight our diverse community of voices and bring back the on-air community dialogue.
This is live radio. We are live. It is Thursday, the 17th. And yes, this is a community program. We want help from you. We want to have the community join our conversation. If you have an article, a topic, an issue, an announcement that the community needs to hear, shoot us an email and we will host you on the air. Or we can play a pre-record or something like that. To get in touch with us, email redwoodscommunityreport@gmail.com. That's, oh no, just Redwoods. redwoodsreport@gmail.com. Ain't that right, Izzy?
It is, Nate. You forgot to introduce yourself, silly. And on this third live episode of the Redwoods Community Report, we will discuss the importance of local politics and how to get involved with the city of Eureka with Eureka City Mayor Susan Seaman.
Let's first talk about the weather. What's coming up for the weekend? Tonight it's going to be mostly cloudy, around 40 degrees. And tomorrow it's going to be mostly sunny with a high around 51. And Friday night, partly cloudy with a low around 41. And Saturday, partly sunny, 54. And Sunday, partly sunny with a high of 52. So it's sunny, but still a little chilly out there. And hopefully we'll get some rain on Monday. There is a chance of showers, but it also did say that it's going to be sunny. So who knows, right? All right. And we do have, of course, our co-host, Isabella Vanderheiden, is our local journalist. Izzy, what kind of headlines you got for us today?
Well, let's see. I covered the Eureka City Council earlier this week, and I'm going to be covering a story about how the ongoing opioid crisis is affecting us here in Humboldt County. It's, I think we've heard a lot about it at the national scale, but I think it's been a while since we've heard about it locally. And I guess I would just kind of tease this story with there are some really astounding, shocking facts that have to do with overdose deaths that we're seeing here locally. So you can find out more about that on lastcoastoutpost.com later this week or early next week. We'll see how it pans out.
That sounds great. And I don't have a community calendar for today. But so let's just get on with it then.
All right.
Unless you got something.
I don't think I do, not off the top of my head. So why don't we go ahead and move over to our special guest for this evening, Eureka City Mayor Susan Seaman. How are you doing tonight?
Doing okay. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you. Thank you so much for coming on with us tonight.
I am happy to be here. I just came from the Humboldt County Association of Governments meeting here.
All right. Sweet. So you're in your virtual talking to everyone zone, right?
Yes.
All right, cool. So I suppose that we would just start our conversation with you by asking you to kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and why you chose to get involved in local politics.
Sure. I'm entering my 4th year as mayor of Eureka. That was my first foray into local politics, but I did serve on the Economic Development Commission before that. I've told this story a lot of times. There are a lot of things that motivate people to get into politics, local politics particularly. Some of those are things that you're angry about, but I in fact decided to get involved because I saw Eureka was really starting to head in a direction that was exciting to me. And I wanted to make sure we kept moving in that direction. So that's what inspired me. It was a very hard decision. Because I didn't know if it was necessarily, it wasn't ever anything I thought about doing. My background was in journalism. I do public relations. But really putting myself in front of people is not, I like to work from the back and get things done. So being in the front is new and different for me, and affords a lot of opportunity I didn't have before. So.
And so, will you remind us when you were last elected and when is the next election? And are you going to run again?
That is the question.
Uh-huh.
I was elected in December of 2018. So I will have to announce sometime in June or July. I literally wonder every day if I'm going to run again or not, for a variety of reasons. It's not because I don't like the job. I really do like the work, and it's exciting to be part of the things that are happening. Um, but it's a big job, and I have a lot of things going on, and sometimes the culture around it is a little exhausting. I wonder why anybody puts themselves through it. But as I say that, I feel like I don't get nearly the problems that other council members have, because I don't make the decisions. I think that they get a lot more of the heated comments, but plenty of people say terrible things about me too. I generally ignore it.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I guess can you talk a little bit more about some of those challenges that you faced? I mean, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, I'm sure that really just, whether it's Zoom calls and people, not knowing how to mute themselves or whatever it may be. Can you talk about some of those challenges you've dealt with?
Um, so I always tell this story when we were sort of towards the beginning of COVID, and somebody asked me a question, and I said, I have to go look into that. I'm not sure what the protocol is. And he said, this is, I remember this is your first rodeo. And I said, yeah, they put me on the biggest, meanest bull they had. No starting off on the sheet for me. They're like, you're the mayor, and now we're going to throw a pandemic at you, and the world is going to turn upside down. And that was a really interesting time for me. When I ran, the role of the mayor is really different from the role of council. I facilitate the meetings, and I have a lot of opportunities to sort of have a voice where I might not have it. And when I first won my position, somebody came up to me and said, how does it feel to not have any power because I don't vote? But I do have a lot of influence, and what I really wanted to do was change the tone about how we talk about Eureka and how we deal with things. And really being in COVID, I think that was one thing I was able to do really well, was sort of have a nice, calm demeanor and help people understand what was happening. For that first year, I would do those weekly video addresses and just sort of keep people on top of things. And that felt really good to be able to do that for everybody.
Calm demeanor. That seems like it would be an important skill in your position.
I think it was a strength. There are definitely people who are working on changing that. With varying degrees of success, more than I would like for them to have. But I think in general, I tend to be a pretty calm person. And I think that in a time when people are just so, I feel like what happened when COVID started is that whatever people felt, they felt really intensely. So if you were a really empathetic, kind person, you just gave everything of yourself, and it was exhausting. And if you were angry to 100th degree. Whatever you felt, you just felt so intensely. And I really felt like it was important to have just a level of calmness. And I think that in itself was a service to folks. So.
And could you see that effect on the folks you were talking to?
I got a lot of feedback from people who really appreciated the information that I shared. And even if they could get it from other places, or I think they just liked hearing it from me. And I did that. I wrote my own scripts, and I did it for a whole year. And then we decided to start highlighting other people, some employees who'd been working there and businesses, and really sort of change the voices of who is talking, and I should go back to doing more of them, at least quarterly. I should.
Yeah, I just want to interject and just say, like, I think it's huge to see our public officials taking that tone, because I think that tone sets the tone for, how a community feels about something.
Yeah, and it's just a time when people feel on edge.
Yeah.
So it hopefully just kind of pulls them back to the ground a little bit. I can't remember, there was the other part of the question that you were asking.
Did we hear a local issue, Susan, that has got your attention right now? A local issue or a couple of local issues that are in your brain right now that are taking up a lot of your time?
Oh, well, of course we have so this is what I really like about this position is we have the things that are in front of us. The Earth Center is a very big topic. Housing in general is just massively important right now. And that is because we have so many great things happening. So if I think about what is the biggest challenge for Eureka, if I could put a huge, massive umbrella over it, it's change. Humboldt County is facing a tremendous amount of change right now. And that means we're going to be seeing more people come to the community. We are going to see changes in the economy, and a lot of it's really exciting. What's really fun to me or interesting is if you talk to people who've been working so hard for so long to make exciting change happen. We're like, oh, everything is finally paying off. But the resistance to that is very, very visceral. And this is something that I've been saying a whole lot, is that everybody wants things to be different, but nobody wants anything to change. And it's kind of an impossible task to do those two things. And so, so housing is so important. And that particular project, the Earth Center downtown, is going to really impact that area in ways far more drastic, I think, than parking. Parking will be affected, and I think we need to continue to mitigate it. But just having life down there and people walking around, I don't know if people really understand what a different, more vibrant community that's going to make. And I'm very excited about that. But then I can also work on issues that are not right in front of us. So childcare has been big for me, and we've been making some really great strides in the community on that. And a lot of those strides have been because we started with the Children's Initiative when I first became mayor. And as you know, I've talked to you earlier that right now my big focus is on dental care.
Right.
I like to find things that people are all affected, that are a lot of people are very affected by, but have not risen to the public yet, and really bring those. So dental care is the next big topic for me.
And you will be joining us with another guest on this program next month to talk about just that topic.
I know we're going to have a community catalyst meeting on March 10th so that we could really address some of the issues that surround it, including the workforce that's changing, the dentists that are leaving and retiring versus the people coming in. We're short somewhere between 40 and 60 dentists in this area. Wow. To be able to serve the people that we have. And that matters. And if you've ever had a toothache, you know how much it matters. And you talked about the opioid crisis. Mm-hmm. Chronic pain is a huge contributor to the opioid crisis. And tooth pain is incredibly painful. Yeah. Causes people to lose jobs and all kinds of things. So number one reason kids miss school.
Yep. Really? Wow.
All right. We're going to take a little break and now do some community calendar and some PSAs. If you have a PSA, a public service announcement that you would like us to let our listeners know about, shoot us an email, redwoodsreport@gmail.com.
Would you like to make a difference in your community? If you enjoy helping people, becoming a volunteer at Hospice of Humboldt might be for you. One of the many things hospice volunteers do is develop relationships with patients and their families, offering heartfelt comfort and support when it matters most. Other roles for hospice volunteers include providing office support, engaging in community outreach, helping at the hospice thrift store, and other unique opportunities. For more information about becoming a volunteer or about services provided by Hospice of Humboldt, please call 707 267 9813 or visit hospiceofhumboldt.org.
And you can join the North Coast Environmental Center at Cal Poly Humboldt's 28th Annual Social Justice Summit. This event will take place on Monday, February 28th from 1 to 2 p.m. at Nelson Hall, 102. The NEC staff will be leading an interactive and participatory presentation on sustainable activism and how to incorporate that activism into daily life. This event will be in person and follow COVID safety guidelines. However, only Cal Poly students will be able to attend in person. For community members who want to watch online, you can attend virtually, but you must register. And to register and learn more, you go to this website, sjei.humboldt.edu/sjs. Sure, you can also find more on the North Coast Environmental Center's website. And then I was handed the community calendar. Let's see. Ooh, here's something cool going on Sunday. On Sunday, February 20th, you can hear an afternoon of jazz starting at 3 p.m. at Morris Graves Museum of Art, 636 F Street in Eureka. Enjoy an afternoon of jazz standards with the trio version of Young and Lovely. Masks are required. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case now. I don't know. Probably so. You can always call them to find out. But find out about admission prices for seniors, military veterans, and students with ID at humboldtarts.org. This event is free for children 17 and under and families with an EBT card and valid ID. All right. So that is what's going on in our community. And this is the Redwoods Community Report, a new locally focused news magazine radio program for our community. This is not our program. This is your program. We want you to get involved. We want you to have a part of this program. If you would like to take over a segment, come on the air with us and speak your mind, you can do so. If you want to pre-record something, it's really easy. I just use Zoom. I'll just open up a Zoom meeting and hit record all by myself. And that's how I record PSAs and stuff. It's that easy. Just hit us up, redwoodsreport@gmail.com. All right. And for this next here, we're going to get back to Susan Seaman and learn a little bit more about local politics. And I think Dave Frank, our man Dave Frank, is going to be joining us here. What do you think, Dave?
Hey, Nate. Thanks for introducing me. For those folks that don't know, I host a couple of weekly shows on KZZH. One's called North Coast Journal Preview, where we talk to the editors there about things they're covering in any given week. And the other one is called Redwood Wonk, which basically means if you're a policy nerd, you might be interested in talking or listening politics. So I got that going on. Plus, I host another show called You Are Here, and that's down in K-Mud, and that's a public affairs show. Where we talk about where we are, where we want to be, and how we get there. And actually, that's how I met Susan. We have a friend in common who introduced us. And Susan came on to speak about the topic that week was, or that month rather, was some of the challenges that face women as they enter the public space for elected office, about how there's preconceived misperceptions that people have, that and there's stresses on there, and it was really great talking to you, Susan. So it's great to see you or hear you and see you again now. I'm glad we're able to talk.
I am too.
I wanted to dive right into the meat and potatoes because people ask this a lot, but I think you might be one for Eureka folks. You might be one of the best people to answer this or address this question. Why are local politics important to you?
Oh. Local politics that is your neighborhood, right? And I was just talking about how much change is going to be happening. And change can either happen with you or to you. And if you really want to make sure that you are able to meet the challenge of a changing environment, this is the place to do it, for sure. It's not for everybody. Everybody has a different role they can play in the community in so many different ways. So whether you're actually participating as an elected official or just paying attention to what's happening, letting your opinion be known, those are all important ways to be involved in local politics.
Well, right on. I think a lot of people are really willing in small venues to say what they think or feel. But when it comes to the public discourse, there's a lot of stresses and pressures that come from either being judged or worse, being the wrath or facing the wrath of community sort of discontent. So what do you think we can do to encourage people in our community to get involved in local politics?
So, I talked a little bit about, I don't know if I just talked to you on air or not on air, but discourse right now is not as civil as it could be. That is a fact. And it's incredibly intimidating. I mean, I think that if you are a community that wants good local leaders, you are going to chase them away if you don't treat them with respect. And that doesn't mean agree with them at all. You can certainly disagree with your leaders. I think that makes us a stronger community. I have had many conversations with people that I don't politically align with, who've brought great things to my attention, who have taught me, who have helped me to grow. But right now, being a disruptor is very popular. It's like trolls from the media have decided in public comments, you can't say anything back. And they goad you, they want you to say something back. But I think that they do it because they know you can't. And they're kind of like trolls on the internet. There's a feeling of power to be able to just say what you want and not have to respond, not have to be challenged for that. But what I would tell people is really, they're not that bad. Like, you don't come home and worry about them. You don't really care if they like you or not. And I think that people think it's really hard to have people not like you, but it's amazingly easy to not to not care about some people that don't like you. I mean, you learn that really quickly. You want people to respect what you're doing, and you want to present things in a way where you feel like people understand that you're doing your best. But there are people that just don't even want to start in that position. So if you're just watching from the outside and you're like, I might get involved in this, and you see the barrage of insults that people put online or say in a public setting, you might really be frightened away. And what I would say is, it's not all that bad.
Don't
Really.
let the trolls frighten you.
Yeah, I was going to say, like your point of entry could be something like a community garden or a beach cleanup. It doesn't have to be right into the belly of the beast with like, how are we going to resolve dealing with COVID in the schools? Like something as contentious as that. So I think you and I have talked before, or, our peer group, so I'm sure have talked about this. Eureka does have a lot of issues it has to rise to face, whether it's, like you said, opioid problems, even just the needles alone that are on the streets. There was the issue with, EPD, Eureka Police Department, with those texts. There's all sorts of things that reach this, like you said, or the Earth Center, so transit and housing, and we can go on and on. There's tons of really interesting and fascinating challenges that we face. Where's a good place for us to start as citizens?
To learn more about what's happening, just you could watch the council meetings. They're surprisingly interesting. If you happen upon them, and then you start to go, oh wow, that's going to be built there, or that's something that's happening. So that's a good way. And you're right, you can just participate in neighborhood cleanups or have your own neighborhood group. I know that there are several of us on council who are very interested in neighborhood building. So it could be neighborhood watch, or it could be just, regular block parties where you get to know your neighbors so you can talk about the issues that are important to you. You could start with the issues that are important to you and then expand to, when you run for office, everything has to be important, and I happen to be a big fan of public works. Public works is pretty boring though to most people. It's the only time it is not boring is when your toilet doesn't flush, and then it's not boring at all. It's infuriating. And I love what our public works director says, which it's his job is to make our life feel normal.
Right on.
And that's a very big deal. But so where I'm going with that is you start with the things you're interested in, but as you start to get more and more involved, you get to learn about things you didn't know you were interested in. And sometimes you have to deal with things that you just don't want to deal with. For example, EPD texts.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Nobody signs up for that.
Right.
But you have to deal with it nonetheless. And it gives you an opportunity to look at it as an opportunity and say, how do we take this moment and turn it into something that we can make a stronger Eureka?
Wow.
Well, excellent. I look forward to catching up with you in future, conversations. Thanks a lot, Susan.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Susan. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to step on you there, Nate.
No worries.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Susan. That was Eureka City Mayor Susan Seaman. And I guess we'll be hearing from you again. When was that, Nate?
I think it's March 17th.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll see you then.
It's March 17th. We're going to be seeing Susan again and talking about dental health care.
Thank you.
And thank you, Dave, for joining us today. And this is live radio. This is the Redwoods Community Report. You can get involved with us. Oh, there it is. It took me a second. All right, let's close this out, Izzy.
Alrighty. So a special thanks to our supporters, Access Humboldt and Internews.
Big thanks to our partners and contributors, Eureka City Mayor Susan Seaman and our man Dave Frank. And I would also like to thank the composer of our soundtrack for this show, From Backwards, even though I've still trying to get the playing of the music down correctly. From Backwards, this guy sure knows his way around music theory, and you can find him online on the socials. Just search From Backwards, and you can use the keywords Trump in the trunk.
And again, we are seeking your help from our community, and we offer this radio platform to you to help restart the on-air community dialogue.
To share your voice, your concerns, your stories with our please send your story submissions to us by emailing redwoodsreport@gmail.com. That's Redwoods with an S, redwoodsreport@gmail.com.
This has been
The Redwoods Community Report,
a new locally focused news magazine radio program that showcases local issues through a collection of articles, events, and opinions created by local community citizens, journalists, and media partners.
I'm Nate.
And I'm Izzy. Thank you for listening.